I grew up in Oklahoma City and went to Southeast High School, totally unrecruited by every college in the land, especially the small ones, which I had looked for an opportunity to play. Didn't really think about playing in college until I got to be a senior in high school. But then whenever the opportunity came about after my senior year, I started looking for a way that I could get a college education, and that was the best way I knew how. So my feeling was to get a scholarship would be the ideal thing. Obviously, having my brother in school at the University of Oklahoma and then having me go to college at the same time would have been a real stress on my family. And so it was going to be a plus for the family if I got an opportunity to play football. When coming out of high school, I wasn't heavily recruited, but that didn't mean I couldn't play. So the fact of the matter was, I was just a late bloomer, which a lot of kids are nowadays. So I was completely overlooked by the college system. And Jimmy Johnson was the head coach at Oklahoma State at that time, and he wanted nothing to do with me. The bottom line was I had a quarterback coach at Oklahoma State who knew I had a good arm, but I was 165 pounds coming out of high school. So nobody wanted to take that opportunity. But the fact of the matter was, I had it in my heart, and I knew that if they just gave me an opportunity to play, I would make something happen. Well, my high school experience was kind of unique. I came from a city school at Southeast. We were right in the heart of the city. And unfortunately, right before my senior year in high school, all the coaches went on strike, and as well as the teachers. It was a citywide teacher strike, and of course, coaches are affected by that. What ended up happening was, a few weeks before the season started, all of the coaches got fired or left. So we were left without a team. The long and the story short is my Little League coach came out to help us through the first few days of two-a-days, and we basically did it as a group. The kids took over. We finally signed a coach in late two-a-days, and we had one head coach and one assistant coach to run the season. It gave me the opportunity to actually run the offense and call all of my own plays. The next thing you know, we end up going into the state playoffs and beating the Norman High School in the state playoffs in the first round. I got to call all my own plays. I got an experience of what a leader might be at a young age. For a lot of kids it's different. Let's take Marcus Dupree, for instance. To transfer from high school to college for Marcus Dupree really wasn't a big step. At 165 pounds, transferring into Oklahoma State, where I had to run into guys like Dexter Manley, was a huge step. I was a fish out of water. As a matter of fact, they cursed my name so much the first few days, I called my mom and wanted to go home. What ended up happening was this. As attrition takes over, and this is one thing you're not looking at as a high school freshman coming in, kids are going to graduate. Kids are going to get hurt. People might transfer. So when you're in a situation that you think, I was fifth deep on the depth charts when I stepped in. But the fact of the matter was, as a sophomore, with kids retiring, Jim Traver went to play baseball. The next thing you know, I'm second on the depth chart. One kid gets hurt, I'm in the game at Kansas State. The rest is history. When I became a senior in college, I never even considered, and this is the truth, I never considered playing in the NFL. You have to understand that since I was in high school, I'd only been told that I couldn't, I wasn't good enough, and I would never. So it wasn't even on the radar screen. Getting an opportunity to play in the Bluebonnet Bowl at the end of my junior year and becoming the MVP of that game, I first heard as a senior that I had an opportunity if we played well. It still wasn't on my radar screen, but the fact of the matter was when we showed up at Sports Illustrated at the beginning of the season, our senior year, they felt like that I might have an opportunity to. And it wasn't until we went 10-2 my senior year that it was even a blip on my radar screen. But after the season, we not only got a chance to play in the Gator Bowl, but then they offered us an opportunity to play in the East-West Shrine Game, which was in Palo Alto where all the All-Stars played. I played with a quarterback by the name of Randall Cunningham on the West team. Met for the first time a real passing attack offense from BYU, Lavelle Edwards. And for the first time I got in front of pro coaches and scouts and all the other people that would be associated with it, and I realized that being in that atmosphere that we were as good as they were. So it was not until well after a senior year in college that I ever thought about playing pro. The rest took care of itself. But the fact of the matter is, If you take care of everything on the field, you take care of the academics in the classroom, and you work your tail off, good things happen to you. When I go to high school games now, I get a little bit frustrated. I love to go to high school games. I enjoy the atmosphere of a high school game, but I expect a lot out of a player. I expected a lot out of me. I expect a lot out of the coaching staff. And when I get an opportunity to see kids that could shine, kids that have an opportunity to go to the next level, and they're not, for whatever reason, they're being held back, it's really frustrating for me. You have to understand, when I went from college to the pros, I asked my pro coach what was said about me moving from college to the pros. And I only heard that I was an overachiever. I wasn't good enough to be a pro. Well, there's a lot of high school coaches out there who aren't touting young, aggressive, hard-working players the way they should. It doesn't give kids an opportunity to go to the next level if they're not being touted by their own coach. That's part of my upbringing now with Top Scout football recruiting, is to give a kid an opportunity where a coach isn't giving it to him.